All right, let's jump right into a story that's all about raw ambition, political chess, and just brutal power plays in ancient Judea. We're pulling from Josephus's The Jewish War and focusing on a really critical moment. See, the Roman general Cassius has just packed up and left Syria, and that creates this huge power vacuum. And that, right there, sets the stage for this insane struggle for control.
Okay, so before we get into the thick of it, you gotta know the players. First up is Hyrcanus. He's the high priest, kind of the ruler in name only. Then you've got Antigonus, whose father was Hyrcanus's big rival, and he's convinced the throne belongs to him. Now at the center of everything are two brothers, Phasaelus, and of course the man himself, Herod. Their father was Antipater, and believe me, they're the ones with the real power. And then there's Mariamne. Don't forget that name. She's actual royalty, and trust me, she's the key to Herod's entire endgame.
So, with the Romans distracted, things in Judea just explode. There's this guy named Felix, and he's got a bone to pick with Herod's family. He sees his opening, gets an army together, and launches an attack on the one place that matters most, Jerusalem itself.
And this is where the timing just gets crazy, right? Right when Felix decides to attack, where's Herod, the great military commander? He's miles away in Damascus, completely knocked out by some sudden sickness. So his brother Phasaelus is left totally high and dry, forced to defend the capital all by himself.
But Phasaelus, turns out, he's more than up to the task. He single-handedly crushes Felix's army. Afterwards, he storms up to the high priest Hyrcanus, and he is absolutely livid. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Not only did he have to fight off an army, but their enemies have been grabbing up fortresses all over the country, and to top it all off, they've even lost Masada? Yeah, the Masada. The whole situation is just out of control."
But look, you can't keep a guy like Herod down for long. The second he's back on his feet, he doesn't just walk back in, he unleashes this lightning-fast and brutal campaign to put things back in order and give everyone a very clear reminder of who's really in charge.
And you can just see how efficient this guy is. It's like a checklist of dominance. First he gets better, then boom, he takes back all the lost fortresses, boom, he kicks the enemy out of Masada, and then, for good measure, he heads north to Galilee and deals with another problem, a tyrant named Marion who had taken over up there.
Now this is what makes Herod so different. It's how he handles the win. See, this Marion guy was just a thug who ruled by force. Herod could have easily done the same thing, but instead, after he beats him, he doesn't just spare the captured soldiers' lives, he actually gives them gifts. This isn't him being a nice guy, no way. This is pure political genius. In one move, he wins over a powerful city and makes his enemies look weak.
Okay, so he's proven he's the top dog on the battlefield. What's next? Well, his next move isn't with an army. It's all about politics, a really smart play to legitimize his rule by tying himself directly into the royal Hasmonean family.
And how does he do it? He marries Mariamne. And her family tree, wow, it's basically a map of Judean royalty. She connects the two rival sides of the family. She's the granddaughter of the current high priest Hyrcanus, but also the granddaughter of his old enemy, Aristobulus. So by marrying her, Herod, who's, let's be honest, an outsider, suddenly has a legitimate claim. He's in the family.
So you see, it's this 1-2 punch, right? Military muscle and a royal marriage. And it works. It works big time. Josephus tells us his popularity just skyrocketed. Even people who couldn't stand him before were starting to come around. They saw him as a strong leader who was now part of the legitimate dynasty.
But just when things seem to be settling down, the whole game changes. The Roman Civil War is over, and a new player's on the board, Mark Antony. He's now the big boss in the East, the new arbiter, and you can bet Herod's enemies see a brand new opportunity.
So what do Herod's enemies do? They run straight to Antony. They send a delegation of Jewish leaders to accuse Herod and his brother of being thugs who took power by force, saying Hyrcanus is nothing but their puppet. But Herod, he plays a different game. He doesn't show up with arguments. He shows up with a massive pile of cash for Antony. And what do you know? Suddenly, Antony isn't so interested in hearing their complaints.
But his enemies are persistent. You gotta give them that. They are not giving up. They regroup, and this time they go even bigger. They send a new delegation of 100 of the most important guys in Judea to make their case to Antony again.
And this is a huge problem for Herod. I mean, you have 100 of the biggest names in the country all saying the same thing. The pressure is on Antony. Everyone's holding their breath. What's he gonna do?
And the answer, the thing that turns the whole situation on its head, comes from the last person you'd expect. Antony looks over at the high priest Hyrcanus, who's standing right there, and he basically asks him, who's the right man for the job? And Hyrcanus himself steps up and says, Herod and his guys, they're the ones.
And for Antony, that's it. That's the ballgame. That plus, he kind of liked Herod's dad and remembered his hospitality. So he doesn't just throw out the case, he makes it official. He names Herod and Phasaelus tetrarchs. They're in charge now, period.
So they win the political battle, right? But that doesn't mean it's all sunshine and roses back home. Not even close. Because now the opposition is even angrier. And Antony, well, Antony does not play around.
So the opposition doesn't just simmer down, it completely explodes. They send another delegation. This time, it's a mob of 1,000 people to protest Antony's decision in the city of Tyre. They are going to make him listen. But man, oh man, did they misjudge who they were messing with.
And this right here just shows you the two completely different worlds. On one side, you've got Herod and Hyrcanus actually going out there begging these guys, please go home, don't wreck everything. And then you have Antony. He has zero patience for this. He just sends in the soldiers, they attack the crowd, kill a bunch of people, wound many more. And while Hyrcanus is trying to take care of the wounded, Antony orders the prisoners to be executed. Just like that.
So there it is. Herod gets his power. But it's not because the people chose him. It's because a Roman army crushed anyone who disagreed. He won, sure, but his rule is built on a foundation of violence, paid for with Roman steel. It really makes you wonder, right? When you win power with a foreign sword, how long can that really last? And what's the ultimate price you're going to have to pay?